Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. I don't even know what's going on with I'm having a weird hair day. We've got a punter getting a $50,000 NIL deal now, and of course, it comes from the University of Miami. I've been so impressed with Miami's NIL collective. I've said multiple times, I think they land 4 or 5 five-star prospects for the class of 2023 using that collective, but this is a very fascinating story. It says Miami punter Lou Hedley flies to Australia to complete an NIL deal, so he had to get on a plane and fly to Australia. Miami punter Lou Hedley is the latest member of the Hurricanes to ink an NIL deal with John Ruiz's company Life Wallet. For this deal, however, he had to return to his native Australia. The punter took a 37-hour flight. That's not even possible. There must have been a layover or something. There's no way. There's no 37-hour flight. I think the longest flight you can take is like 14 hours. I did not read this article before now. He took a flight home to Australia where he filmed promotional content for Life Wallet in Perth. Hedley chose not to disclose the exact amount that the NIL deal was worth, but did say it was in the same range as his other Miami teammates who have signed deals with Life Wallet for roughly $50,000. Now, guys, you got to put this into context. They're giving out NIL deals to their punter worth $50,000. Imagine, how much they're going to give to a 5-star recruit who's going to be actively on, Miami's roster for 3 years. It's going to be exponentially more. I am 1,000% positive if you're giving a $50,000 NIL deal to a punter that's already on your roster, you are offering recruits at minimum 6 figures, upper 6 figures, very likely 7 figures, very likely multiple $1 million. That's why I've been so impressed. I've been hearing so many things about this Miami collectives they've got going. They're promoting this party culture. The only real negative with Miami, they've got a good head coach in place now. It's just the stadium. You would really love to get your own on-campus stadium. And could that be the next step for Miami? I don't know the situation currently with where their campus is located. I know for Pittsburgh, I was talking to some Pittsburgh fans about why they don't have their own stadium. They play at Heinz Field. It's such a horrible atmosphere. And they're like, they would literally have to knock down administrative buildings on the Pittsburgh campus to be able to build a stadium. There's simply no room for a stadium with Pittsburgh. So I don't know if it's like that in Miami, but if I was one of these multi-million-dollar boosters, I would 1,000% be campaigning for a new singular stadium, state-of-the-art, futuristic, party-type vibe stadium for the Miami Hurricanes. I'm sure they're probably saying, listen, to get the funding, we got to win first. But Miami right now, you're giving a punter $50 million. It is ridiculous. Now, the reason you get into this story, it says, the punter says it's a pain in the backside having to fly over, but it's all worth it. I mean, they said he took a 37-hour flight. Yeah, that would be a pain. He told the Associated Press after a day of filming promotional spots, I feel like I deserve to get a little bit of money. I contributed wealth to the team with my name, image, and likeness. I think that's debatable. With a punter, really? Is a punter really going to sell tickets? I'm not saying, listen, throw him a bone, give him some money, which is, I think this is what this is. They're just throwing this kid a bone. Listen, punters are people too. I'm not trying to disparage the kid, but how much money is a punter bringing into a school? Whether it's Ohio State, Miami. I just think they wanted to say, you know what, we want to keep it fair. You can get a $50,000 NIL deal too. So it was, it felt good to be compensated, blah, 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 blah. So why did he have to fly home for his deal? International student athletes can't profit off of NIL while in the United States, given how the law is currently written. With that comes debate of what international students can do to profit. So the whole thing's kind of a mess. It's all a gray area, and that's why he had to take a 37-hour, there's no 37-hour flights, but he had to take a long flight, probably some layover, and go back to Australia to film for a company that's in the United States. Kind of very odd that he had to fly home when he could have just done it in Miami, but that's due to these weird NIL laws. Once again, the NCAA, they said, go crazy with NIL. We have no clue what we're doing. It creates weird things like this. But just another thing with NIL that I found hilarious. You go to On3, the On3 recruiting website, and you can see the top NIL valuations for different players. So right now in college football, Bryce Young, due to his follower count, due to him being a Heisman winning quarterback, I'm guessing, has a current valuation of $3.1 million. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means due to, his followers, he can get this type of deal. Caleb Williams is at $2.4 million. CJ Stroud is third. But if you go to the number one overall player, when you combined all the college sports, they've got a thing called the NIL 100, which is like everyone combined. And the number one player is Bronny James, due to his popularity being LeBron's son. And he's got, a $6.3 million valuation with 11.6 million followers. It gets better. It gets even more in depth. When you go to Bronny James's pages, per post value. So if he got a sponsorship from a company to post something on Instagram, they are saying it's worth $76,000 for, I'm guessing, one Instagram post. And you can see his followers. He's got 6.2 million on Instagram and 5.4 million on TikTok. Little TikTok app there. And then it gets even more in depth. You can see like a stock going up. How in depth can you get with this stuff? They've got a 14-week NIL growth, and Bronny James is up $1.2 million in the last 14 weeks. That's great news. I'm sure he needs it. Yeah, I'm sure he needs the extra money, being LeBron's son. But just super in depth, very interesting. You guys go on on3.com and then you search like On3 100. You can see all the evaluations of your favorite players. We've also, this is something I quickly wanted to talk about. I was talking about this yesterday when I came out with my recruiting updates video for the 2023 class. Tennessee exceeded expectations for this elite edge rusher, Chadavian Bradley. Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure when a booster pulled him aside and said, listen, due to Carnell Tate going to Ohio State, we've got all this free money to offer you. I'm sure that did exceed his expectation. That offer exceeded his expectation. I'm just trolling. Listen, a lot of schools are offering money. I don't mean to pick on Tennessee, although they did give a quarterback $8 million. But I thought that was funny. I'm sure they did exceed expectations, right? Paul Feinbaum says Jimbo Fisher likes this fight with Nick Saban. So I'm sure Jimbo is very happy his name is in the news, and I'm sure Jimbo is very happy many people are ignorant to how NIL and the NIL structure actually works, because many casual fans, they'll look at this Jimbo Fisher-Nick Saban feud and they'll say, number one, they already hate Nick Saban anyways because he's won so much. So they'll say, Saban just got beat out, by Jimbo Fisher. Now he's mad. They all cheat, whatever. They don't understand how Texas A&M blatantly weaponized NIL. And I'm not saying Alabama's this clean program. Nick Saban used to give players new cars. He owned a dealership, back in 2017, 2018, even, significantly before that, 2013, 2014. You'd see a kid come from a very low-income community, and he's driving around in a Dodge, Chevy Dodge Charger or whatever. It'll raise some red flags in Tuscaloosa, especially. So I'm not saying Nick Saban is this saint, but Jimbo Fisher is very lucky. The general public has a very minimal understanding for what Texas A&M did. I've explained it several times. A lot of people already know what they did, but in terms of them weaponizing and blatantly cheating, there was kind of this mutual understanding amongst college football fans that it was the Wild West, meaning you could offer kids money to just go to a school, and that is, not allowed. Now it's happening because Texas A&M boosters realized the NCAA is such a corrupt, just pathetic. The NCAA has staffing issues right now, so they can't even police this stuff anyways. Once Texas A&M boosters realized it, they gave a bunch of kids money, and then their fan base started bragging about giving out $25 million, and then Jimbo Fisher started denying everything, so their fan base backed off of doing that. But really, I think Jimbo does like that his name is in the news. He, in terms of public perception, a lot of people just think, well, Nick Saban is cheating the exact same way Jimbo Fisher is. They're all cheating. It's not that simple. It's a very complicated issue, and quite honestly, if we see Alabama and Nick Saban start going balls to the wall with NIL, I think they probably could land about 12 5-stars, and no one wants that. That's why we want it policed, so the talent gets distributed evenly. So the Big Ten gets some talent, so the SEC gets some talent. If Alabama, Texas A&M, Texas, they start going balls to the wall, they're just going to get everyone, because they're going to be the ones offering kids $3 or $4 million, and kids are not going to turn that down, especially if Alabama starts offering $3 million with Nick Saban's track record at putting first-round picks into the NFL. Oh my goodness, they might do it. We were hearing things about Cedric Baxter, including Alabama in his top 5. He wants an NIL deal. Maybe Nick Saban will go scorched earth and say, you know what, if you want to play dirty, we'll play dirty too. And unfortunately, what would happen is Alabama would land about 10 5-stars, which is exactly what we don't want. And that's what Nick Saban didn't want. But if you're going to allow everyone to do it, this is the issue. This is the problem. When you don't punish bad behavior, you get more bad behavior from more teams, like Miami. And then we've got Bryce Young signing an NIL deal with New Life Art. So Bryce Young, this is the exact way NIL should be done. This is a perfect example. You're Bryce Young. You commit to Alabama from the state of California. That's very interesting in and of itself, because if Lincoln Riley was at USC when Bryce Young was a recruit, Bryce Young would be a USC Trojan right now, 100%. 100%. That's kind of the Lincoln Riley effect. But just getting back to this NIL thing, Bryce Young is doing this the exact way you should. You get on campus, you win a frickin' Heisman. Yeah, you're going to make significant money through NIL. Bryce Young is making way over 7 figures through NIL. This is exactly the way NIL should be done. Bryce Young chooses a school that develops players, that has great skill position talent around him, has a great offensive line to block for him, puts him in the best position to be successful at the next level, and then he gets his money because he's been successful and he can market himself. It's not like Alabama said, we'll give you $3 million, come here. That's what Tennessee did to a 5-star quarterback in 2023 who's currently committed to them. They said, we'll give you $8 million, please come here. And now, that's what's happening. But this is the exact right way you want to do NIL. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Trevion Henderson, the superstar running back. I think Trevion Henderson. Guys, don't get me started on Trevion. I love Trevion. But another thing I wanted to talk about, we've got a few other things here. The best wide receiver in college football. So we've got our options, Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith-Njigba, looks like that's Keyshawn Boutte, Josh Downs, I love Josh Downs, and then that's Xavier Worthy. So those are the 5 options right there. Let's be honest, guys. See, the thing is, let's stop joking. Let's be real about this. Jackson Smith-Njigba is the best receiver in college football, folks. There's no doubt about it, but I do love receivers. That is my favorite position, and, Jordan Addison, possible first-round pick. Keyshawn Boutte, former 5-star, dealt with injuries last year. Josh Downs, that's my man crush. And then Xavier Worthy. What an amazing true freshman season for Xavier Worthy. He should have been a Michigan Wolverine. He wanted out of the, they were saying it was something with his grades. I don't know. The Xavier Worthy situation with Michigan was so weird. I don't even know what happened, maybe a Michigan fan, but it seemed like he just didn't want to go to Michigan. Now, Michigan fans originally were saying it's because he didn't have the grades. I find that extremely hard to believe that Michigan would not make an exception. I know they try and say, oh, we're above everything, we're a school that's based on academics. Come on, some of the kids that have gotten in there due to football, I think the kid just realized he didn't want to go to Michigan, and he wanted to get out of his national letter of intent, which he signed, which he did, and now he had an amazing, I mean, could you imagine Michigan having Xavier Worthy right now, along with A.J. Henning? Oh, that's nice. Dude, that would change their year. I mean, they would definitely be in contention with Ohio State with Xavier Worthy. I don't think they'd beat them, but they'd be in contention. And then we've got Texas Longhorns, a look at their entire schedule. So realistically for Texas, the heat is on. You're going to the SEC in 2025. You've got a window with a superstar quarterback in Quinn Ewers, with a superstar running back in Xavier Worthy, with a superstar wide receiver, with a superstar running back in Bijan Robinson, with a superstar wide receiver in Xavier Worthy. You have the skill position talent if you're Steve Sarkisian. You need to have an unbelievable year in the Big 12. Unbelievable. No questions asked. You need to have an unbelievable year on the recruiting trail. Use NIL, use the oil money, whatever it has to be done. Looking at their schedule, UL Monroe, that's an easy win. Versus Bama, they're going to get crushed. UTSA, they'll beat UTSA. UTSA's not bad, but they'll beat UTSA. At Texas Tech, you got to win those games. If you're elite, you've got a superstar quarterback, you've got to beat Texas Tech. I don't care if it's on the road. You've got to beat West Virginia at home. You've got to beat Oklahoma this year. There's an opportunity. Oklahoma getting a new quarterback, coming off a major injury, getting a new coach. There's an opportunity. Win the Red River rivalry. It's always a close game. Versus Iowa State. That's another make or break game. You've got more talent than Iowa State. You're at home. Beat them. At Oklahoma State, that'll be tough, but I think Oklahoma State is really overrated this year. They lost Jim Knowles. They lost a lot of talent on that defense. At Kansas State, that's tough. That's a tricky road game in Manhattan versus TCU. TCU's actually not bad this year. You know, the Big 12, I'm looking at the Big 12 right now. I like what I see. I like what I see from the Big 12. The Big 12, could you say the Big 12 is the third best conference in college football right now behind the SEC and the Big 10? It's very possible. It's very possible. And then you've got at Kansas. Come on, guys. You lost to Kansas last year. My goodness. You got to beat them. And then versus Baylor. I think Baylor is also overrated, but they still do have a really good coach, a really good infrastructure, so they are always tough. But if you're Texas, you got to win 10 games. You got to. Clock is ticking. You're going to a tougher conference. You got more talent than all of these teams listed here except for Alabama and maybe Oklahoma, although Oklahoma lost a lot of players to the portal due to Lincoln Riley leaving. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.